Hey everyone, so today we are going to be reorganizing my shelves. I already have my headphones in because I'm going to be listening to that audiobook that you have yet to find out what it is. And we are going to get right in it. So I'm going to get everything cleared off and then we are going to talk about the books that I am going to unhaul out of my shelves. And then we are going to get it put back up, hopefully in a better way rather than this chaotic mess. So definitely stick around. You may see my dog and my cat floating around here as we're going, but I'm pretty excited to get this done. Hopefully, I had a couple people reach out to me and actually give me some tips, so we'll see how that goes. And I'm looking forward to it. So hope you enjoy. Hope you like what my shelves look like whenever we get done. And we are going to go from there. Okay, so I have all of the books out. Way too many books. All of my little knickknacks. I don't need that many, so I'm going to definitely be getting rid of a lot of those. I didn't touch this shelf because it has my ARCs and graphic novels and my grandma's books, so I'll deal with that later. But we have empty shelves, so it is the next day. I got my bookshelves completely reorganized, which I will show you that after I show you all the books I'm unhauling. Yesterday got a little bit crazy. My husband was working, so I picked him up, and then he donates plasma, and then I got home and I was just exhausted after going through everything and reorganizing my shelves, and so I just took the night to just spend with him. But I did get some books in the mail yesterday, so I'm happy that that came so I can show you the 3 books that I got and all the ones that I'm unhauling. But today I'm definitely going with my Halloween vibes. I got my Nightmare Before Christmas long long shirt on that I usually wear around the house. So I just felt a little festive since Halloween is right around the corner and it's one of my favorite holidays. So wanted to do that. But the first book that I got, if you have watched my video about the 2 books that my husband had chose for me to read in a week, he picked a book called Forbidden, and I loved it so much that I got the second book, which is called Emboldened. Now, the first book follows a girl named Claire. Her mother has moved her around the United States, every few years, trying to keep her safe. And Claire doesn't understand what the threat is or why her mom does that. So now she is in Emerson Academy. She has been there for 2 years. And so she fears that her mother is just going to up and, move again. And so she doesn't want to. She wants to finish Emerson. She has friends there. And then all of a sudden, Alec McKenzie shows up. He's Scottish. And, they are in the same class. He breaks her locker the first day. So now they have to share a locker together. And things kind of spiral from there. You have where there's something going on with Claire. She is having some, not really problems because I think it's a gift, but things are going on with her and she doesn't know how to cope with it. So she leans on her friends. And then Alec, has a dark past. She's trying to figure him out. What is his role in all of this? And so it's about their love story, which was absolutely beautiful. And what I didn't know, sorry, I'm dealing with some allergies today. What I didn't know is that this book, being a YA paranormal romance, I didn't realize that it was going to seem at times a bit new adult. And then at times very lower YA, which is not a problem. I really enjoyed it. I'm happy my husband picked out Forbidden for me, but then I had to pick up Emboldened because Forbidden came out in 2012 and I didn't feel like their story was wrapped up. I felt like there was a lot of plot holes that needed to be fleshed out. And so I saw that this book, it said originally that it came out in May of this year. So it was like 10 years to make a second book, but I think it came out in 2018. Yeah, 2018. So 6 years after the first one. And what I really like about it is the dedication in the book. It says, "For the many, many readers who asked us to please continue Claire and Alec's story, this is for you." So I can't wait to read this. I have already finished up all the books that I have been currently reading, and my busy season starts Monday. So I really wasn't going to pick up a book, but this came in the mail yesterday, so I was like, I think I'm going to start reading it. So pretty excited for that. And then the other 2 are my book of the month picks that I had picked, which the first one is Foul Lady Fortune. I have already read this book. I already have a previous video where I review it. I got an ARC copy off of NetGalley, and so I had already read it. Absolutely loved it. Had to get a physical copy because I really want to reread it again. I absolutely loved the original duology, which is These Violent Delights and Our Violent Ends, which follows 2 other characters that are not in this book. And this is kind of a spin-off series from one of the characters in that original duology. So it's in, 1930s Shanghai, which is this book. The 2 that the original ones was in 1920s Shanghai. So really, really good. It definitely has some paranormal elements to it. So definitely pick this up if you want to continue that duology with another character set in that world. So many years after the ending of Our Violent Ends. And if you just love Chloe Gong in general, she made her debut with These Violent Delights and it was absolutely amazing. She came out of nowhere for me. Had to finish this up. Loved having the arc of that. And so I had to have a physical copy because I feel like I'm going to be revisiting this world again. So the last book I have not read yet, which is called Thistlefoot. So it is supposed to be off of Jewish mythology or folklore. And it is about 2 siblings, the Yaga siblings. And it is about them having a house that has chicken legs that can move. And so that's about all that I know about this book. I can't wait to get into it. I've heard a lot of people say that they read it and they loved it, and so I had to make it my book of the month pick, and I just can't get enough of new recommendations. So let me know in the comments below if you have read Thistlefoot, if you like it, what you liked about it and things, and so I can't wait to get into that. So those are the 3 books that I got in the mail yesterday. So now let's talk about the books that I'm unhauling, which is quite a big stack, actually. I didn't realize how many books I had, not really to get rid of, but either that I have read and I just don't have any intentions on reading them again, that they were okay reads, but nothing that I want to keep on my shelves, or books that I have no idea what they're about and I just have no interest in reading them anymore. I have already outgrown that genre, or, you know, whatever it is that I was wanting. So the first one is The Darkest Hour by Jennifer L. Armentrout. Jennifer L. Armentrout just doesn't do it for me. I read her From Blood and Ash series, and it just, her writing style is good, but it just doesn't mesh with me. And I felt like those books I get so bored in, and it takes too long for me to actually get into them, each and every book in the series. So I'm just unhauling Jennifer L. Armentrout. I've realized that she is not an author that is for me and whatnot, but she is a fantastic author. She writes fantastic worlds and everything. It's just not vibing with me. A couple of the others are books that I had picked up for my husband at one point, and he just isn't going to read them. But I got King Remembered, which is about Martin Luther King. And then I picked up London by Edward Rutherford, George W. Bush biography, and then New York by Edward Rutherford. So I don't know what those are about. Those are for my husband. So on we go to the next ones. So I am going to be unhauling all of my Vampire Academy paperbacks. They had a time in my life. Loved them, enjoyed them, but I think it's time for me to let them go. It's been years since I've reread these, and I just don't feel like I'm going to revisit this world anytime soon. So I'm unhauling all of these books from my shelf. If I want to pick them up later on, I'm sure that I can get them for really cheap at my used bookstore, or just get them on Kindle, but I just don't foresee myself rereading those. And then for some reason, I have 2 copies of Bloodlines. So again, I think this is a spin-off series from Vampire Academy, and I'm not going to read it at all. I've never read this book. I don't have any others in the series. And I'm not going to read it. So it's time for them to go to a new home. The next one is Her Majesty's Royal Coven. I got this out of Fairy Loot. It sounded really interesting. I really like the fact that Anne Boleyn was the founding person of this, Her Majesty's Royal Coven and such, but it doesn't appeal to me. I kept putting it on my TBR. I kept, setting it aside to read it, and I just never grabbed it. So I think it's time that it goes to a person who is going to adore it and love it. So it's going away. And then the next one is The Scorpio Races by Maggie Stiefvater. So I got the special box that I think Owl Crate came out with a couple years ago. It was like the 10th anniversary. I've read this so long ago. I loved it. But it's time for it to go to a new home, because I'm not going to reread it. And with it being a special edition and signed, I'm sure somebody is going to appreciate that. So I have that. I'm getting rid of Angels and Demons by Dan Brown. I've read this so many times. It's definitely wore out, but I've had my time with Dan. Done. So that's that. And then the next 2 I picked up off of the Bookaholics outlet during one of their sales several months ago, because I've heard nothing but amazing things about this series. But upon attempting to read it and looking through here, I have realized that it is not a book that I am going to really enjoy just the formatting of it and everything. It's very unique. I absolutely love the fact that, how they put this together, but it's just not something that I'm going to read. So it's the Illuminae Files by Jay Kristoff and Amy Kaufman. And then I have Gemina, which is, I think, the second book. It has some black sprayed edges. I don't know if somebody did that on their own or what. But it's not signed, so I don't think it's a special edition. So these two, I'm going to give to a home where they are going to love them. The next book is Cinder. I've heard so many good things about this series, so I picked it up. I was going to read the first one, see what it was about. But again, it's just not drawing me in. It's not something that I am reaching for or that I want to read, so I think I'm just going to move on from it. And then the next one is Book of Night by Holly Black. I have multiple copies of this, so I'm not getting rid of it for any reason other than I don't need multiple copies of a book that I technically haven't even read yet. So I don't even know if I'm going to love it, and even if I do love it, why do I need multiple copies of it? So I'm going to give that to somebody. I don't know if this is the Fairy Loot edition or if this is the Bookish Box edition. It's the special edition from, it's the Fairy Loot edition. I see it on the back. So it's going to go to somebody who will appreciate that one. This is one of the newest books that I just got in one of my book boxes. And quite frankly, the story doesn't sound appealing to me. And also, I just don't like what they did to this book, special edition wise. But as wild as the witch, it has this clear, thing, protector on it. And I just, look at the witch. I feel like, I don't know, it's not doing anything for me. So, and I was already not wanting to pick up the book anyway. It just doesn't sound appealing to me. So I'm going to give that to somebody else. The next one is Gilded by Marissa Meyer. This is the Fairy Loot edition. It's a naked hardback. It has gold edges. It is signed. I read it. It wasn't one of my favorites per se. Good writing, great vibes. If you definitely, like magic and you like fantasy and you like romance, pick it up. It's really, really good if you are into that type of thing. It just didn't hit home for me. So, and that's okay. I'm just going to get rid of it. So that way I'm not having that over my head. A couple of these are mass market paperbacks that I have never read, and they're from Hannah Howell. I've never heard of her, but we have If He's Sinful, If He's Wild, and If He's Wicked. Have no intentions of picking these up. I don't know where I got them at. Have no idea. I don't know if I picked them up at a sale somewhere or if somebody gave them to me, but I'm not going to pick them up, so I'm not going to keep them. This is one that I did pick up. It's a little battered and bruised because I did read it. I need to take out my bookmark. But it's Kiss of the Rose. It is a Tudor Vampire Chronicles series, and if anybody knows me, they know that I love the Tudors, and I love, the medieval times and Henry VIII time, and this is whenever Henry VIII is king. So I was very interested, very disappointed. It was absolutely terrible. I do not recommend picking up this book unless you just want to have a terrible time. That's all I'm going to say. The next one is The Stardust Thief. I think this is the Fairy Loot edition as well. It was very intriguing. I liked the premise and everything of it. I just don't feel like it's going to be a book that I am going to want to read. So I'm not going to hold on to books that I am just not wanting to read. I have too many books as it is. I don't need that. The next one is the Fairy Loot edition, and it's Babel. This book is actually black whenever you get the normal edition. These sprayed edges are amazing, but after hearing about what Babel is about, I don't feel like it's something that I'm going to enjoy. So I'm going to give it to somebody who will enjoy it and appreciate it, because all it's going to do is just sit on my shelf and not do anything. The next one I am going to get rid of. It is personalized to me because I read the book, but I I don't plan on rereading it at all, but it's The Truth About Adira and by Anna Paulson. It was really good. Very touching. The story is very atmospheric. It will grip your heart. It is a romance, and it's about a girl figuring out who she is, and all of these things. And it was absolutely beautiful. If you want a really, really good romance, this is an absolute recommendation from me. But I'm just not going to reread it. And I think that I want somebody else to enjoy this. I'm going to give this to my friend. Since it is personalized to me, I really didn't want to give it to just someone random. So I'm going to give it to my friend who I know will enjoy this book. And then I don't need 1,000 copies of House of Sky and Breath. So I'm just unhauling that one. The next one is Defy the Night by Bridget Kimmerer. I haven't read her A Curse So Dark and Lonely. I actually haven't read any Bridget Kimmerer. And so I feel like if I haven't read her original trilogy, and then this new spinoff, or not spinoff because it's not a spinoff, but her new series, no, I'm just going to get rid of it. I'm going to save myself the trouble on that. The next three is a really good trilogy. It was one of my first books by Nora Roberts that I read, but I'm getting rid of Dark Witch, Shadow Spell, and Blood Magic. I don't even know if I even gave those to you in the right order, but I'm getting rid of these 3 books. It was a great time reading them. I absolutely loved it. I had no idea that Nora Roberts wrote in paranormal romance at all. So I really liked it. I just got to make room for books that I absolutely adore, or books that I haven't read that I really want to read. So the next one I just got is called The Final Strife. I got it from the Goldsboro Science Fiction and Fantasy Fellowship. So this is the cover of it. They do have them signed, and they are numbered copies. So it's beautiful, but the synopsis and everything about it does not appeal to me. And so I'm not going to put myself through reading something that isn't something that I'm going to want to read anyway. So, and then again, I have Glittering Court. I don't know if this is part of Bloodlines or not, but I'm done with Rachel Mead. So she did good. I'm done. That's it. I don't know where I got this book at. It's called Darkest Wishes, and it's a Jinn anthology. Have no idea where I got this, but I am not interested in the slightest about reading about jinns and genies and anything like that. So that's going to go. The next one, the Space Between Worlds. This was an epic book. I absolutely loved it, but it's had its time with me. I cherished it. I read it. I had such a good time. I may revisit this later on because it did touch me in certain places, but at the moment, we've had our moment, so we're done. The next one is Northern Lights by Nora Roberts. I don't know where I got that at. Have no idea what that's about. This one is The Demon King by Cinda Williams Chima. I've heard a lot of things about this on the BookTube community, but after having it on my shelf for literally 2 years and never gravitating towards it, I always saw it and I was like, nope, on to the next. I am just going to part ways with it. So it's not going to be a book I'm going to read. This one I just have multiple copies of, Angel Fire. I absolutely love this series, but I have an autographed first hardback copy, so I don't need 2 of these. The next one, still, again, no idea where I got it at, but it's Mr. Fahrenheit. Never heard of this book. It's not very long, but I have done several unhauls, and I've kept it because the synopsis sounds great, but I think we're done. I'm just not going to pick it up. The next one is Heart of Iron. It is a special edition, and it is signed. It comes with even a poster and everything, but again, I got it out of a box at some point several years ago, and I have just never picked it up. So there is a theme here. I have books that I've never picked up, and I just keep them and I just keep them thinking that I'm going to gravitate towards them one day, and it just does not happen. So it is a time in my life where I just say bye to those, sell them off, buy more books that I know I'm going to want to read. So this one is Mindwalker. It's the newest Goldsboro Science Fiction and Fantasy Fellowship book I got in September. It is signed and numbered as well, but it is a tech science fiction, a techy one where it's like about robots and computers, and not something I'm into. So that's gonna go. The next one is a series. It's sad to see these go, but I've read these so many times, and I could probably literally recite to you word for word all of these books and everything. So I'm just going to say goodbye to them. But it is the Lightning Thief series by Riordan. I'm just kind of done with them. They have definitely been cherished and loved by me for so long that maybe it's time they go and find a new home. So there is that. Don't know where I got this book at. Again, have no idea, but it's When the Stars Go Dark by Paula McLean. Again, I've never gravitated towards it, never wanted to pick it up. So getting rid of that. Let me just grab the last stack really quick. Okay. Shadow in the Ember. We've already talked about it. I am just not a fan of Jennifer L. Armentrout's writing. I thought I'd give this book, which is the spinoff series to From Blood and Ash, a try because I've heard Nyctos is amazingly hot. I got 30% of the way through it, if even that. I could not go on. I have resigned myself that I am just not into her writing. Her world building, her characters and stuff I feel are amazing. I just can't stay in the story. So I just have to admit defeat. I don't know where I got this at. The False Prince by Jennifer Nielsen. It may have been gifted to me. I read what the synopsis was about, and it is definitely one that I'm not intrigued about. So definitely getting rid of that. This one I have multiple copies of. I actually have an autographed edition of this one, so I don't need an extra copy. And then I have never read Fire and Bitter Blue by Kristen Cashore. So why do I need to read Graceling if I've never read that? So this one of my favorites of all time, but gotta say bye. It's Where the Heart Is. I love the book. The movie adaptation is good, but the book is just so much more amazing, but I got to get rid of it. Again, another two Jennifer L. Armentrout books. We have Origin, and we have The Brightest Night, which is a signed edition. Again, I just got to resign myself. It's really sad because I wanted to love her. I know that she is a very loved author, but I just have to realize that it is not something that I am going to ever enjoy. So this one, Bloodleaf, I absolutely hated this book. I ended up DNFing it. I'm done. I don't need it. I have no intentions of ever going back to it. This one is another Goldsboro Science Fiction and Fantasy Fellowship book, Ordinary Monsters. This was my June book, I believe, which, you know, again, it's signed and numbered. Look at these sprayed edges. This was an amazing book, but it's not one that I'm going to reread. It is not one I'm going to revisit, so I'm done with it. So somebody else can end up loving it. The last book, I wanted to try this author, but I ended up trying a different book instead by her, underneath a different pen name, and absolutely hated the book. So I'm not going to give her original name a try, but it's Buttons and Lace by Penelope Sky. There is a point where I am done with just literally reading nothing but smut on a book. I want plot. I want world building. If it's a fantasy, I want a good story drizzled with some smut, not smut with no plot. So I don't know if this book has that or not, but I'm not even going to attempt it. So those are the books that I am getting rid of. And I will be back here in a bit after I move all of these and get things kind of reorganized, and I'm going to show you my shelves. I absolutely love them, but thank you for sticking around with me. I will show you my bookshelves, and then I will see you next time. If you want to leave me a comment about any of the books that I'm unhauling, or to find out where to find them at, because I am going to be selling them, definitely comment below. Reach out to my Instagram, which is in the description. And if you want to follow my reviews on Goodreads, it's also linked in the description box below. Like this video, subscribe, have some great stuff coming up. But until next time, everyone, I hope you have a great day. Bye.